Yeah, we're back again, and this time on a sad note because the master of the game, that's what it's called, the man who likes to be an introvert but does a public job, Sven Goran Eriksson. In Sweden, they call him the father of football because this man pretty much started pretty early. These days, we celebrate coaches in their 40s or in their 30s when they are coaching. At 30, he had already started coaching. At 32, he had already won the league and the cup double. 34, he had won the UEFA Cup. And, in his 30s, he's won almost everything. They span over 70, 19 titles and 40 years of coaching that took him to England. Remember the famous 5-1 beating of Germany? Oh, Mario, sorry, you won't like it, but yeah, when Michael Owen scored a hat trick, he was the manager. The famous David Beckham free kick at Old Trafford in November of 2001, if my memory serves me right, that stopped England from
Against
going to the
Greece.
against Greece, that stopped England from going to the playoff. He was the man in charge. It was one of the best, the first ever foreign manager to coach the England national team, Wenger and Eriksson. I met him twice. Met him once in Sweden and then once at David Dane's place for dinner. It was a very, very nice guy. I'm going to give you guys a minute or two to talk about your best Wenger and Ericsson's best moment. Let's start with you, Bobby.
My best Sven Goran Eriksson moment. First of all, rest in peace to the legend. It's a sad one, even though we knew it was coming when after he made that announcement, but still a sad one. My moment definitely Germany, England, 2001. Owen hat trick. Before then, I think England were finding it hard to play Germany abroad. It was always difficult. So, and that one was a very important game for the World Cup qualifiers. So to go there and get a 5-1, even me before that game, I expected them to lose. I didn't expect them to win, but to go there and win 5-1, it was impressive. And even though that German team still got to the final of the World Cup, that's an irony, but that's my moment. Pick up the bunch.
Let me go to you, Habib. I don't know if you know who Van Goran Eriksson is, or if you've heard the name before, or you just went to do research today. But if you have anything to say about him, you have a minute or two to say that.
Yeah, it's understandable that young folks like us probably don't know like the older generations, which is fine. But he's an influential manager, to be honest. I think the testament of like successful people is how many people you can influence. He has influenced the like of Diego Simeone Inzaghi, also Ancelotti, and he's actually a very pragmatic and a result-oriented manager. And you can see that in the number of like coaches that have come under him and those coaches that have played under him in Lazio. He's an incredible manager, to be honest, and rest in peace to him.
One of the things that I love about Eriksson is the amount of credit he gave to Roy Hodgson. That Roy Hodgson made him choose to go into coaching. Roy Hodgson also influenced his decision to play the 4-4-2 system. And a lot of the things that he did as a coach was influenced by Roy Hodgson. If you remember, Roy Hodgson went to Sweden and won the league there, also went to Inter Milan. And so the story goes on. But let me go to you, Mario. This man led the English team to Germany, to Deutschland, and won 5-1. I don't know if you saw that game where you were at the time that happened, but if you have anything to say about Sven and Eriksson, this will be the time.
Yeah, of course I saw the game, and obviously Sven Goran Eriksson is a much respected coach and probably one of the most respected sportsmen in the world. I mean, a person who coached in his home country successfully, a person and manager who went abroad, first ever, you mentioned it, first ever coach for the England national team. And once you're hired for this job and you receive it as the first one, everybody looks at you. I mean, an absolutely outstanding achievement. But yeah, I mean, going on, I mean, he coached the Mexican national team, he coached the Philippine national team, he coached in China club football. So wherever he went, success and his aura traveled with him, and an absolutely incredible person. And obviously when he came out with his illness, unfortunately terminating ill, obviously he got his dreams completed, yeah, and every club welcomed him and tributed him for his achievement. So a very sad day for football, a very, very sad day, obviously, for family and friends. My thoughts and prayers are with the family, but an absolute legend who will definitely live on in my thoughts and in my mind.
Thank you very much, Mario. Those were kind words, very beautiful words. I'll go to Iman, who also had met him. I mean, Abiti was very young, but he met him, so he will have one or two things to say about Sven Goran Eriksson. Eriksson was in Italy, coached Inter Milan team, and also did some very good work within the football space. So, Daniele, what's your Eriksson tribute?
First of all, may he rest in peace, of course, and all the thoughts go to the family and the people around him. Yeah, I met him personally because he coached Sampdoria for 5 years, a club of which I've been a fan since I was a kid. And one day at the end of a training session, I just shook hands, but I was just a teenager. He certainly didn't remember that. But yeah, there's a kind of, his experience in Italy was kind of bittersweet. It was his most important experience in his career, because don't forget that he managed Roma, then Fiorentina, went back to Benfica, then he came back, he managed Sampdoria 5 years. Oh, he only managed Benfica in England for a time that was as long as 5 years. So he had a big impact here. It was a bit of a, special moment for Sampdoria, who are transitioning from being a top-level European club to being, probably top 7, top 8 in Serie A. But he did, he managed the transition quite well. There was 1 year where Sampdoria could have won the league with Sven Goran Eriksson and Mancini, Gullit as forwards. And I think here in general, the feeling is that the team won Coppa Italia. The feeling is that probably with a bit of luck, or I don't know, something more, that Sampdoria could have won the Scudetto. But he did manage to win Scudetto with Lazio, which had also escaped him in Roma in the mid-80s. He didn't win Scudetto. He lost an incredible home game with 2 games to go when he was head-to-head with Juventus. But, in Lazio, he has his opportunity to get his revenge. He won the Scudetto, he won Coppa Italia, he won the former Cup Winners' Cup. So he had, in general, a successful, period in Italy, even though I think the common feeling is that he probably could have won something more. But, the football that Sampdoria played under his management was great. It was a pleasure to see. People really had fun, even sometimes with not such a big team. But I guess the thing that he wanted to be remembered with was that he was a good person, and every person, has a memory of him as a gentleman. So in the end, I think maybe he didn't win as many trophies as he might have, but he won as a person. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, they say in life, always win as a person. If you can't win on the job, but win as a person, let your humanity shine through. That's what we take. But then let's get into another gear. Let's jump off this moody and gloomy tribute bus and go into the one where, before the season started, Bobby was very sure that this is the season for Man United. They were going to win something. They were going to compete for the top 4. The season have not started. We're already counting down to their 5th defeat, so that we know that they are out of the title race. As it is said, only Man United actually have gone a season losing 5 games and gone on to win the title with 75 points. But I'm not sure that is going to happen anytime soon again. But having said that, Bobby, I come back to you. Manchester United. Is something really still missing? Because, I mean, the Brighton was there to be taken, but their lights were too shine, and you guys couldn't handle the brightness of the light. What happened? Talk to me. Give me your own expression of the game.
So basically, the game was a good game, but in relation to United, it was a poor result. Poor result due to 2 main factors. There are 2 main factors. 2 defensive errors. One was a defensive error by Maguire, unable to cut out that cross, and unable to cut out the second cross that came from the left. The second goal, the winning goal for Brighton, was not a singular defensive error. It was more like a team defensive error. Everybody was defending on the right-hand side. Left-hand side was completely open. There was nobody on the back post. And in that time, you have Mazwari and Dalu marking the same person at the right-hand side. But McTominay and Casemiro were ball watching. They weren't doing anything. They were supposed to, in that case, they were supposed to be on the back post. Let's check the game as a whole. The game, starting from the starting lineup, you can say Ten Hag made 2 mistakes. One was starting Maguire. 2 was starting Rashford, because Rashford was basically a passenger. He wasn't bringing anything. Maybe, yes, you can say he will track back a little bit, but he wasn't going past his man. He wasn't crossing the ball, and he was caught offside so many times with the likes of Ahmad. Zexi was caught offside, but you can understand Zexi's case because he was going for the ball. And at that particular time, he couldn't pull his leg back in order not to touch the ball to make Garnacho's shot to be an offside goal. You look at the team. Pressing, yes, we pressed well, but immediately Mount came off. Ten Hag said he felt something, but immediately Mount came off. Our press died. We couldn't press effectively, and it goes back. You can trace it back to Casemiro, who couldn't cover up for the exit of the extra midfielder. Why? He doesn't have the pace. He cannot run about. In that bit, you now have Meno doing extra work. That is why when it gets to the 60th, 65th minute, if you're watching the last 3 games, he gets tired because he's doing extra work. He has to break his back to cover up for Casemiro. Because Casemiro does not have the pace. Casemiro mistimes tackles and he has to cover up. Casemiro puts a lot of misplaced passes, sloppy passes. Even his positional discipline is wrong. Most times, if you watch when there's a counter, Casemiro is still on the offensive side of the pitch. Instead of falling back, by the time the team has fallen back, he's still behind, which means he doesn't have the legs. This is putting an extra strain on Menu. Okay, let's look at, we have possession quite all right. Yes, we have more possession now, but we don't pack enough threats with the ball. We create chances, but we are not clinical. Yes, we pass the ball. We are good in the tight spaces. We move the ball well. We have intensity going upwards. But what do we do with the ball? We don't do enough with the ball. In the second half, when our intensity dropped. Hello?
It's a simple question that I ask. I didn't ask you to lament for the whole world to see.
Okay.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Now, before you bring all this, your lamentation into the conversation, do you still stand your ground that Man United will make the top 4 and win a trophy this season?
Of course.
There's
no cause for alarm. Of course.
From a coaching perspective, and I'm sure Daniele and Mario will agree with me here, you lost the game to Brighton to bad coaching yesterday. All these things that you're saying, all this drama that you're putting here, it is just shosho, as we say when I was playing football. But whatever, he's the one that picked Rashford, who is useless as far as I'm concerned. That's poor coaching. He's the one that kept Casemiro long in that game without looking for another way to get a player for him. That's bad coaching. He's the one that refused to let the players understand that reaction is a 360 degrees thing, not a 90 degree or 180 degrees. So all of that is on the coach. They say everything rises and falls on leadership, and he is the leader of the team. But I'm not going to make an argument on this one. I'm going to go straight to Habib. And Habib, before the season started, we felt like Liverpool, almost all of us agree that Liverpool are going to struggle. Come on, when you lose a giant like Jurgen Klopp, we're talking Jurgen Klopp here. You lose a giant like Jurgen Klopp, I mean, things would fall apart in the words of Chinua Achebe, and the centers cannot hold. But it's a reverse, because Liverpool are getting their mojo on. They are playing on second gear, not even going to third, fourth, fifth, or sixth or seventh gear, but they are still cruising and winning games, and also playing like there is no threat to them. What do you have to say about Liverpool, Habib?
Yeah, thank you, Adafi. First of all, if I'm to go by a prediction, I think I've followed it for like 10 years now. And I think 10 years ago, you made a prediction that when Alex Ferguson leaves Manchester United is going to struggle for 10 years. And your prediction came to pass. And if we are to follow that same logic, that should apply to Liverpool. Losing a giant like Jurgen Klopp, you expect them to struggle. But it looks like reverse is the case. They always say it takes an exception to make the rule. Looks like this is the exception. But Liverpool are doing, I don't think they've hit their full height yet, and they are doing quite well. One thing about Liverpool that stands out about Liverpool is that they are very clinical with their chances. They are very effective, and I think that is what is working in their favor. They take their chances, they are very direct, and they can also mix up style. And a slot is like an opposite of Jurgen Klopp. And a slot likes to play ball possession football, but it doesn't hesitate to go direct. Like if you watch Liverpool play, you go from Luis Diaz is from the counter attack. So if the opportunity is on for them to like counter attack, they will counter attack. And Liverpool have been scoring, like they've been overperforming their XG, their expected goals this season. And this is an hallmark of a clinical team. They don't need to create so many chances to score.
And they are not conceding.
And they are not conceding. They don't need to create a lot of chances to score, and they are not conceding. And I worry for Manchester United because they are facing Liverpool next week. It's going to be like they don't need to create so many chances to score. It could look like a 3-0 defeat or a 4-0.
Nah, there's nothing to worry.
Okay.
There's nothing to worry.
That's even the reason why the Brighton defeat is strange. You know that Liverpool is coming next. The way they're playing now, they just might beat Man United. And 3 games in the league already, you would have lost 2 games. Well, let's leave that one. Let me go to Daniele. Daniele, give me a wrap of what is going on in Italy. The script, it seems like the smaller teams have not read the memo. Inter Milan, Genoa, first week, 2-2 draw. AC Milan, who did they play the first game? It was a draw. Only Juventus managed to win. Napoli was beaten by Lazio, if I'm not mistaken. The whole football in Italy is not going according to script. There is no such thing as big club,
Verona.
big club advantage and all that. So give me the Italian side of things, the fresh wine or vintage wine from Italy.
Well, after 2 games, it's a bit difficult to have one team clearly in front of other teams. I think Juventus have a chance tonight when they play in Verona, which is a tough match. As you know, Verona are always a hard nut to crack at home. So it's going to be a testing match. It's an opportunity for Juventus to be at the top of the table tonight. But, you know, I think what made the Seria so interesting back in the golden age was the fact that you had, you know, maybe the best team playing with the teams in the like lowest positions, and still the score would be uncertain because there was such a balance. So, you know, I'm very happy to see that the big teams are struggling, not because I've got anything against the big teams, but because it's nice to see that other teams are trying to, you know, make the most of their potential. And yeah, I think AC Milan, they are struggling. They've almost lost 2 games because the first one they came back from 2-0 at home. At the second game, they lost in Parma. Inter, you know, okay, a draw in Genoa is not a bad result. Okay, yeah, they're Inter, but it was a draw at the last, which Genoa clinched at the last minute. So, you know, and then they were expected to win against Lecce, and they did. I think what was a shock was Roma's defeat at home with Empoli. That was a bit shocking, even though I don't think Roma ever started as a title contender. While Napoli, we'll see, because they lost the first match and they won the second match in style against Bologna, who were, you know, the surprising team last year. And also, I was a bit disappointed to see Atalanta lose in Torino. Torino have a good team. It wasn't a deserved defeat for Atalanta. They missed a penalty in the last minute. They hit a post. They hit a crossbar. But, you know, obviously, if they want to have a shot as title contenders, and they've never said that they're going to be title contenders, but if they want to have a shot to be in the, say, top 3, you know, that's the type of game where at least you must walk out with at least 1 point. Drawing in Torino is not bad, but it's losing when you're winning 1-0 and then you lose, not really good. So it's very balanced, and Genoa had a good win in Monza. So Gilardino defeated Nesta, so the team between 2 World Cup winners.
Yeah, you're happy.
And we'll see. I mean, I think it's very early in the day. Also, Fiorentina, we don't know what their real potential is. Their big signing was Gudmundsson. He hasn't played yet, and he was one of the probably top 5 players in Seria last year. So it's early to say. We'll see.
Someone sent me this message, and he said it will be pleasant to see if Thiago Motta goes to Juventus as he is. He started very well tonight. They are going to play again and win. And if he goes on to win the title, it will be a perfect proof that his vision and his idea of the 7-2-7, the formation, I don't know what this person is saying, 2-7-2, formation is a world beater. And it would be nice to see a young coach of that caliber winning the Italian Serie A. No matter what we say about the Italian league, it is still one of the best leagues in the world. And going to Italy and winning it after moving from Bologna and excelling well, selling your players, and then moving on to Juventus is a perfect proof that he is a good coach. Do you agree with that?
Oh, yeah. I mean, last year he proved to be a good coach, but not only last year, he managed to rescue Spezia, who, they had a transfer ban that year, and he managed to rescue them from a relegation into Serie B. And then the next season they got relegated. So, he's already proven to be a good coach. But we'll see. It's very early in the season to tell, but it's a good thing, and I think across all leagues, it's a good thing when there is balance and uncertainty. It's very bad for the game. I don't think it's only my opinion. I think it's shared. Very bad when you have those big teams and you already know that you just don't know what the score is going to be. Is it going to be a 3-0 or 4-0? That's bad. It's really good when you start the match, you don't know if it's going to be a win, a draw, or a loss.
Fantastic. And on that note, I come to Mario. Wolfsburg showed us that football can be uncertain as well. When they played at home against Bayern Munich, it wasn't just a jolly good ride for Bayern Munich with Vincent Kompany and all of the stars that they've got, Serge Gnabry, Musiala, and all that. They had to work for the win. Now, it is said in the days of Sir Alex Ferguson that one of the greatest hallmark of a great team is on the day that they're not playing well, they manage to win. That is what Erik ten Hag does not know. He didn't read from that book anyway. The day they don't play well, they lose. But let's leave Erik ten Hag and Bobby and Man United and come to Germany. Give us a German roundup, but there is a follow-up question after the roundup. Is German football ready for the revolution that Klinsmann started and Joachim Löw ended by winning the World Cup? He started with Jürgen Klinsmann, and then he went on and on and on and on with Sami Khedira, Mesut Ozil, Toni Kroos, Toni Müller, Podolski. What's this top goal scorer in the World Cup now? What's his name? I've forgotten his name, but the all-time...
Miroslav Klose.
Yeah, Miroslav Klose and all of these guys that were in that German 2014 World Cup team. But he started with Klinsmann. Is Germany on that march again with the way they are coming with these young players and they are building? But let's start with the German Bundesliga roundup first.
Yeah, roundup very, very easy and very happy to do. Obviously, Friday night the season kicked off with the game, or with the current reigning champion Bayern 04 Leverkusen playing the derby match, Rhine derby, away to Borussia Mönchengladbach. Very intensive game. Halftime was 2-0 for the champion. Everybody said it was cruising and they cruised it home. But Gladbach made some modifications at the halftime, came back, put up, leveled with a draw, 2-2, and as Bayern 04 Leverkusen goes, 90 plus 11, stoppage time, penalty. Florian Wirtz, he missed the first shot, ball returned to him, he scored, game finished, the champion wins 3-2. And then for Bayern Munich, obviously on yesterday on sort of closing off the match day, they had one of the biggest challenges, because VfL Wolfsburg invested quite heavily. Ralf Hasenhüttl's first transfer period, where he could kind of get his players he wanted. New goalkeeper in goal with Kamil Grabara, who made some fantastic saves, who caused Bayern some real sincere headache. And obviously with Mohamed Amoura, a new striker in front, but they kind of went their own game. And Wolfsburg is a home team, so they collect most of their points at home. and gave Bayern a big fight. Bayern was also leading. It was like a copy game, kind like Bayern was leading 1-1. Then in the second half, with the changes Hasenhüttl made, Wolfsburg took the lead 2-1. Bayern returned 2-2, and then Serge Gnabry with a fantastic goal to win it for 3-2. Bayern played very dominant, very strong. It was really, from a competitiveness, a very, very solid and strong game. Starting into the season, it sort of looked like the 7th, 8th match day instead of the first match day. Things were working quite well for Bayern. Vincent Kompany has found a good mixture. Obviously, what made the headline is the paper Thomas Müller received to make the tactical changes, and he put it on his underwear, and Joshua Kimmich didn't want to touch it because of the kind of smell coming out of it. So it's like a fun joke out of it. But so this makes the Bundesliga headline. All the other games, Stuttgart surprise defeat in the Southwest derby against Freiburg, but again, Freiburg is a fantastic home team. It's so difficult to travel to the Dreisam Stadion and collect points. Stuttgart couldn't. Dortmund cruised 2-0 home game with Byron Gittens scoring both goals coming off the bench. So overall, it was kind of the favorites getting through, and the newly promoted teams like St. Pauli and Holstein Kiel started with defeats, but they played quite well. I mean, Holstein Kiel only lost 3-2 away to Hoffenheim, and St. Pauli kind of surprise home defeat 2-0 to Heidenheim. But Heidenheim played midweek their first international game in the Conference League, and won away, and therefore Heidenheim is much more a played-in team, although they lost some stars. I mean, it's similar to Bologna kind of performing last season exceptionally well, then throughout the summer losing a lot of great talent, and that's exactly what happened to Heidenheim now. But they started with a win, collecting points to not get relegated. It's going to be an interesting season in the Bundesliga.
So my follow-up question is Germany on the march to rebuilding a team that can take on the world? We've been struggling to see that there's something called German machine in football, and we've been struggling to see that machine at work. Today, what we have is a German analog, German locomotive. It's not really the machine anymore. We want to see that well oil fluid machine. Are you guys on the march to building that team that will take on the world, both at the Euros, the Nations Cup, and the World Cup?
I mean, if you want an engine, obviously you need the parts. You need the distributor, you need the exhaust pipes. You need the oil pan. You need the engine block. You need the cylinders. So you need all the ingredients to have an engine going work. So if the oil block doesn't get any oil, then obviously we have issues. And Germany had a lot of issues. For me, Jogi Löw stayed far too long as a coach. Couldn't let go of the German national team, and obviously sort of debuilt his own legend by himself. By forcing to go on and on and on, in a way. So now with Julian Nagelsmann, we have outside appreciation of the players. The media. He takes away a lot of the pressure from the media. His news conferences, press conferences are always exciting, protecting the team so the team can really work. And he's a coach who sort of assembles a dressing room and gets a clear ranking and hierarchy inside the dressing room. And that hierarchy has been found again. And that's why I have quite big hopes that Germany is in the transition period, from, let's say, a legacy team with Hummels, Reus, now obviously Gündogan, Manuel Neuer, departing. We never have an issue as Germans on the goalkeeping position. I mean, when you see Ter Stegen, the Barcelona captain, sitting on the bench calmly for the last 8 years in Germany, we never have an issue with goalkeeping. So. And that stronghold will be kept. And I think the new generation of players coming up with Musiala, with Pavlovic, with Bruda, who signed for Brighton. We've got great talent coming up. And I think the German machine will be succeeding again, or will be bringing success. Yeah, first of all, obviously in matches, and then obviously when Germany comes into the mood of tournaments again. We've seen what happened here at the Euros. It's been a fantastic, and I still believe that Spain versus Germany was the best game of the tournament overall, because it was end-to-end, 120-minute end-to-end. Yeah, there was no boring, no hand-holding, no position. It was 120-minute end-to-end, and the lucky best one, or the best luckiest one at the end, scored a winner 1 minute before the end of the stoppage time. So I think it's good to have that hierarchy, and I think it's good to have that kind of balance again inside the dressing room, and that eagerness and that desire and that determination on the pitch to win games and achieve glory.
As we wind it down, Daniele, let me come to you. I always say to anyone who care to listen that Italy, aside Nigeria and Brazil, where my first choice country in Europe is Italy, and I've watched the way the Italian national team have gone poor and poor and poor and poor. But looking at the way the league have started, it's pretty early days, nothing to judge yet. But I'm coming from the back end of last season, where the Bolognas of this world, Atlanta won the UEFA Europa Cup, and Roma recently won the UEFA Conference League. There is a resurgence in Italian football once again. They may not have done extremely well at the Euros, but for you, is there hope that even if they don't do well in the next World Cup in the US, they might go to Saudi Arabia in 2030 and prove to the world that they've reinvented themselves? Is there hope for Italian football at national team level?
I hope there's hope, but I think I think one hope, as I said in one of the previous episodes, is that now there's going to be more teams taking part in the World Cup, so more chances to qualify. Okay, but apart from jokes, I think at the moment what is really missing is one or two players who can, make a decisive play to, score a goal. So up front, we've got good players, but they don't have the personality. Maybe they don't have the skills at international level to make the difference. We used to have entire generations with 10 strikers who are among the best in Europe, and you could just take your pick. Now it's really difficult to say, okay, who's going to be a number 9 or a number 10 who can really make the difference in international football for the Italian team? There's none at the moment. There's a couple of interesting prospects. One of them is Camarda with AC Milan, but he's still very young. He's still very young for Italian standards. There's also a cultural thing, because what it appears is that in England, in Germany, in France, in Spain, they're not scared of launching very young players. Not just Lamine Yamal, but even Musiala that Mario was mentioning. I mean,
Mbappe
was launched when he was very young.
Jude Bellingham
played the European final when he was, I don't know, 19. How old was he 3 years ago? So we don't, in Italy, when you are 22, you're still considered very young, and it's still considered, we have to be very careful. It's only 22. Okay. While in other parts of Europe, or possibly the world, look at Hendrik, for example, when you're 18, and if you're good enough, you just take off and you go. So I think we also need a mentality shift from this point of view. And young players in Italy, they sign very lucrative contracts when they're very, very young. And again, does this mean that they're going to lose a bit of hunger, or does this mean that there's going to be too much pressure? So it's a mentality it's a mindset that needs to be changed. And I think it's a good team, but the good team doesn't really have those one or two players that can make a play that wins you the game.
All right. Let me come to you, Bobby, before we wrap up. Bobby, Nigeria plays against Benin Republic on the 7th. We're playing Benin Republic and Rwanda in the Nations Cup qualifiers on the 7th. And we don't have a coach. England is going to release their team list in 3 days. Other countries are doing that. We don't have a coach. We don't know who's going to be selected. Alex Iwobi is saying that, we'll come back and we'll do something. Those of you guys that are in the diaspora, when you gather to talk on your diaspora WhatsApp group, What is the feeling like about the Nigerian national team?
Nigerian national team is
You're
basically
depressed.
headache. Exactly. It just at the current state just gives you depression. I mean some chats. It's the same thing. It's just this. We are just talking the same thing we've been saying over and over again, over and over again, over and over again. How long ago did Finidi resign? Till now, we don't have a coach. We have AFCON qualifiers in few weeks, and we don't have a coach. It's depressing. It's anytime now. Before usually I talk about it a lot, but now the way it is now, anytime I think about it, it's
Knock you off.
depressing. It's
Wow.
depressing.
Sir,
The topic is depressing now.
Habib, I'm sure that the lines are not going to cut us off this time because you have 60 seconds and use it wisely. Do you still have that confidence that Manchester United, I like picking on them because of Bobby's promise. Manchester United are going to make the top 4. You've seen them play in 2 games and they don't, for me, I'm not impressed. Do you still have that confidence?
No, I don't. If I remember our first episode from I don't.
Oh, Habib, have faith.
I'm taking to my words. The first episode from Views from the Stand, I said it. I'm like, I'll give them 10 games to see if they would convince me if they'll make top 4. I don't think I need 10 games anymore. This team is not going to make top 4. And I want to see what Bobby sees in them because I don't see the same thing.
Don't worry. You will see it.
Liverpool will beat you guys next weekend and you will see what Bobby does not see. That's all I know.
No.
That's all I can promise you. And from this
bring the Liverpool guys on. They will lose.
No problem. I will bring them on next week. And next week we'll round up the whole transfer drama. But thank you very much, everybody, for being on the show today. For those of you who are watching, thank you for watching. And do well to subscribe to the channel and bring your friends and everyone. If you want to be on the show, you know what to do. Send us a message and we will bring you on the show. But thank you to Bobby, to Mario, Habib, and Daniele. Have a wonderful day. Ciao.
Ciao.